Hello kids, thank you so much for watching A Story with a Lesson. This story is a modern day miracle. There were lots and lots and lots of miracles. As you know, many people would write to the Lubavitcher Rebbe asking him for help when they were sick, for a blessing, and many times the Rebbe would write back to check your mezuzah. So I'm going to tell you just two of thousands of stories of people who checked their mezuzah and miracles happened. Well, this story, very few people know this story because it actually happened to a friend of mine. And his mother had what was called a slip disc, something in the back with the spine, and it made it that unfortunately she couldn't sit down, and it was also quite painful. Well, they wrote to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe wrote back to check your mezuzah. And would you believe it? In her mezuzah, in the word b'shiftecha, which means when you sit, was messed up. And when they changed the mezuzah, miraculously she got better. Now here's another story about a Jew in Israel. And he unfortunately wasn't religious, and he had a very serious heart problem. And he had a friend who was Chabad, who was in the same company, and he noticed for many days or weeks that he wasn't coming to work because the man was so weak that he couldn't get out of bed. So he met this man's wife in the supermarket one day, and he says, "Where's your husband?" So she explained the problem. So he was quite sad about the problem, and so he decided to go to this person. And he went to the person, and he said, "Why don't you write a letter to the Lubavitcher Rebbe? So many people have been helped from the stories, from the miracles." So he says, "Well, I'm not religious. I don't really believe." So he was really pressuring him to write a letter. This man says, "No, I'm not going to write a letter." So he said, "Okay, you know what? I'm going to write a letter for you." So he said, "Okay, thank you very much." And he says, "I just want to add something at the end of the letter." So he said, "Of course." So he wrote a letter explaining the situation. And then at the very end of the letter, can you imagine, the man said, "Rebbe, please pray that I should pass away. I'm in so much pain, I can't even stand it anymore." So you can imagine how bad it was. So the Rebbe sends back a letter, and in the Rebbe's letter said, check the mezuzahs. So they checked the mezuzahs, and listen to this. The word for heart had a hole in it. And that was exactly the problem with his heart. So they fixed up the mezuzah, and his heart got better. So this teaches us something extraordinary. You see, it's not chas v'shalom that if we don't have a good mezuzah, we get punished. The Rebbe explains, in the world that we live in, there is good and there is bad. And the bad comes in form of what's called shin daled, like bad demons or malachim, and they look to harm people. But Hashem gives us the tools to protect us. So the Rebbe gives an example. It's like a soldier that goes out into the army. So if you go out and you have a helmet, sometimes bullets come. And if you have a helmet, the helmet will protect you. The same thing is when we put a mezuzah on the door, then it creates like a spiritual helmet. And it pushes away all these bad demons, all these shandals, and therefore they can't attack us. And so this is a tremendous lesson that teaches us some of the things that Hashem tells us to do, we don't understand. But obviously Hashem made the whole world. And so if the general came over to you and he said to you, "You know what? I want you to wear this when you go out to the battle," would you think, "Oh, well, why do I need to wear it? I don't understand why I need to wear it. I'm not going to wear it anyway." No, you would say, well, if the general comes to me and he's suggesting to me that this is a smart idea to wear, of course I'm going to wear it. Because this thing is obviously here for me. And the same thing is with everything Hashem says. Hashem doesn't say anything that doesn't have a good reason. But obviously, whoever could understand about these things, we don't see these things. In fact, it says in Kabbalah very clearly that the mezuzahs protect us from these bad malachim, from these negative forces. So, now we see why it's so important to have a mezuzah and the mezuzah protects you even when you're on the road, because you said you had the mezuzah protects you. So, dear kids, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you can think about a good lesson from this story. And always remember, the extra mitzvahs you do, the extra kindness you do, brings Mashiach for the whole world, and your power is even greater than the power of the adults. Thank you so much.